Palo Santos. And you hear that? The birds, nature, singing, speaking, existing, living. It's beautiful. Anywho, I want to really dedicate this specific episode to those that have inspired me. And I am inspired by everyone in the world that exists. Those that I have met and those that I have not met. And in doing this channel, believe it or not, there are very few people I know that I'm going to tell that I actually started my channel. They might find out through conversations that I have with them. It's just that about 5 years ago, it's about 5 years ago, when Young Pharaoh started his channel. Let me start prior to that. Maybe about a good 10 years. Ooh, did you hear that? Oh, that sounds awfully close. No, it really sounds close. Extremely close. Anyway, about 10 years ago, I call myself stepping my foot into the doorway of consciousness. Isn't that how we all start? I've never really been a religious person. I was forced to go to church when I lived with my aunt for a year. I was about maybe 5, and I would fall asleep every Sunday. And I declare it was, I don't even know who this little girl's name, but I declare it was her job to wake me up every time I fell asleep. And I'll be mad, but you in church. You got to be respectful. I'm 55. This is years ago. This is almost half a century. No, this is more than, about half a century. Yeah, because I'm 55. Anyway, and I was about 5. Anyway. And I appreciate my parents because they never forced us to go to church. And my aunt who did go to church religiously every Sunday. Her name was Sweety, and she was one of the sweetest woman you ever know. She was a really, really loving, nurturing, and also she was a teacher. I mean, I never really saw her work, a job 9 to 5, but I saw her work. You can understand what I'm saying. She was what you would call, a stay-at-home wife. She had one son, not by her husband, because her what we would call now a baby daddy was drowned in a swimming accident or something like that. So and his sister, I don't know how she did this, but she got my aunt to get her tubes tied. My aunt didn't even realize that until she met her husband, and she couldn't have any kids. Make a long story short, her name was Sweety. Sweetest women, one of the sweetest people you would ever meet. And me and my sister lived with her for about a year because it was hard on my mother. My mother and father were, my father wasn't the most reliable young man at the time. And my mother was struggling, so she needed some help. So we stayed down south in Mobile, Alabama with my Aunt Sweety. She canned food. She taught us how to clean up behind ourselves. At 5 years old, we was washing the tub. We was washing. We get the chair, put it up to the sink, wash the dishes. The only thing she really didn't have us do was cook the food. I mean, we would prepare, like, but we wouldn't cook the food. And it's yes, ma'am. And we all ate dinner together. We would have to wait for her husband to come home, Frank. When Frank came home, we all ate dinner together. And she was a teacher. She was a teacher. Taught us how to sew. Beautiful spirit. And even though she was very religious, went to church, was very loving and caring, it just doesn't seem fair how her life turned out to me. It just didn't seem fair. Why this sweet, loving, caring, nurturing teacher would would take care of her husband and other children, and then when her days were coming to an end, see, I think there's non-forgiveness when people develop a form of dementia. She went through a lot. She was cheated out of having more children, which I think she's excellent at raising children. And because of the fact that she could not have children, and her husband, who loved her very much, he actually had other children. And I think that hurt her to her core. So in her last days of dementia, and I don't even think she was a day over 60, to tell you the truth. I don't think so. Well, she didn't last long after that. After the dementia, she didn't last long. And I just felt like, she did everything she was supposed to do morally. I've never heard a bad thing about her. Sweety was sweet. And I think Sweety died a broken heart. Because as religious as she was, as faithful as she was to go into church, it just wasn't fair. The way a nice, sweet, moral, loving, caring, nurturing person can have so much hurt and pain in her life, to the point where she actually developed an illness that prevented her from living her best life. And I understand that, we're giving the cards, we're dealt the cards for a reason. It just seems so unfair to me when you get the deck, you try to make the best of it and still come up short. That don't seem fair to me. Well, I think part of it is, or was, that self-empowerment was not known to her. So she couldn't make good on it. I mean, I know we all have a purpose. And I'm not saying somebody's purpose is not, I think we lose sight of the purpose because we're so busy trying to fill the knots. Actually, we're so tied up in the knots. I'm not this, I'm not that. And we see what other people have and think that, why can't I? Because that's not who you are. That's not your resonance. Your purpose, You know it best. You can't go to a doctor. You can't go to anybody else outside of you to know your true purpose, because you are the only one that is with you all of the time. So I'm gonna dedicate this to Sweety. I know her energy is still here, and it does make you think. Like Ancestor Juice said, why do we keep coming back? ES of Ancestor Juice. Why do we keep coming back? Why? Are we